Hello and welcome to the Engerati studio here at EMART. I'm joined now by Ricardo Nunes from omip, the Iberian Energy Derivatives Exchange. I had to struggle with that one. You can tell we're doing this live. So Ricardo, firstly, welcome. Welcome to the studio here. And you know, when we were talking off air, it was very important for omip to be part of this event. So if we can very quickly tell us why and why we're here, and then we can move on to some of the sort of Iberian market issues.
First of all, thank you very much for your invitation. So omip decided to sponsor this event, to be present in this event, because of, I would say, three main reasons. First of all, because we recognize to this event and to Synergy, the company that promotes this event, a good track record of these events, a good experience in these events. I think this is the 17th edition. The main players of this sector around Europe pass through here, so for us it's important to be here. The second one is because this event happens in Spain, and as we are an Iberian company, Iberian Energy Exchange, for us it's very important to be in this country, in Spain. The third one, and maybe the more significant for us, is because this coincide is in the same date that we have our members meeting. So what we did, we schedule our members meeting for these days. Today later we are going to have our members meeting in the room near this venue, and for us it's a great opportunity to be here with our members too.
So again, you touched on it. Your main business is in the Iberian market, spot markets, derivatives markets, Portugal, Spain. Just tell us a little bit about the market journey that has happened in the Iberian Peninsula. 7 years ago, deregulation started, and just very briskly, if you can just take us through that and where we are now.
So, with the financial crisis of 2008, of course, some extra difficulties happened in this kind of markets. That's, I think, everyone can accept this and must assume this. But now I think we must look with hope to the future, because I think now we are in a good steps. We are giving good steps to a better future, because, as I said to you before this interview, lots of smaller companies are now coming to the markets, are now trying to get to this type of markets. The renewables one, for example. So I think we are going to have a good future on this.
Because on the renewables side as well, I saw a stat in, I think it may have been in The Economist, but I may be wrong about that. But it's definitely true that after Germany, Spain has got the highest amount of renewables, or that agenda is huge. How do you see the market reacting to that type of power becoming a huge part of the grid?
Of course, renewable side of this business is very huge and is very important in Spain and in Portugal. I know that some of them have feed-in tariffs, so right now they don't have the need to come to the market. But year after year, month after month, more of them need to come, need to know, to understand, and to come to trade in the market. So this I think is a good news. And we, as I said to you yesterday, last September we began with new products, solar products, for example, that is completely adapted to solar producers. So I think that's the way.
Is that with a vision towards the world where, the subsidies in terms of feed-in tariffs and so on are obviously we want to remove them. You know, they were there to kickstart
Yes.
something.
It was very important to start,
yeah.
of course.
So can you tell me a little bit more about that, the product that you've brought out, that you've adapted to the sort of, especially the PV market as well, and how does that work?
It's a very simple, very easy product. We have now a specific product to the solar producers. So that is confronting with the index, solar index. It's for the Spanish zone. As I said to you before, the peak product is more or less adapted to the solar one, but is not exactly adapted to the solar one because of the weekends. So with this product, we hope to have more liquidity, and as I said too, it's more and more important not to only have the standard products, but to have some specific products to specific agents that will allow everyone to come to these markets.
And that is important as well, because each, you know, you can't have one size fits all, because there are nuances within every single side of things. So you know, can we bring that to the front a little bit? You know, in the PV side of things, you know, what is the particular area that means it needs its own product? I mean, you mentioned the weekends, but you know, can you elaborate a little bit more about the issues?
The PV, the solar products, is much more, to be honest, it's much more easy to build a solar index than, for example, a eolic index, because solar curve is very more or less predictable.
Reasonably predictable,
reasonably
especially
predictable.
If you're in Spain, not in
yes,
Britain.
of course.
Right.
If you are in Spain, of course, reasonably predictable. Yeah. So what we're trying to do is to, as I said, create something that is fully adapted to the people, to the companies that have some type of interest in the solar industry. I can tell you, for example, in my particular opinion, is not omip opinion. My particular opinion that year after year we will need to have this type of products. Maybe in the future we must have eolic. I know that is much more difficult to create an index, but we must have eolic products. We can have other type of products, because no one's depending of that's the size, or depending of the sector that they are acting more, should be not allowed to come to these markets. It's very important to them, and to the smaller companies important too. So is our.
So how do we facilitate more smaller companies coming into this market and create that environment for that to happen?
With as I said, with specific products, trying to cut off some barriers. For example, fees barriers. In omip, for example, 2 years ago, we built a new type of membership, light membership. So this light membership, people have less fixed fees and higher variable fees.
So and by doing that, what type of people, or people is probably the wrong word, but what type of organizations did you suddenly start seeing join, you know, the market? You know, are you, for example, seeing like commercial companies joining?
Yes, I believe that is the future.
Yeah.
You know, some years ago, the regulated markets were huge in Iberia. So these smaller companies, or these companies, don't have the interest, don't have the feeling to come to these markets. But now we are doing the reversion steps. So right now, I would say that much more than 90% is in the liberalized market. So now it's time. Now it's time to them to come. They have the needs. They have they must have the know-how. So we must have that companies in this market. They are important. Not because of the volume or the liquidity. It's important to have everyone. It's important to have everyone.
And that that competition also creates innovation,
Of course.
as well, and so on. So again, we've got a limited amount of time here, and as you mentioned, we were talking yesterday a little bit. So moving things forward as well is, in terms of creating the exchange. The other interesting thing is complete different to renewables. You're starting with the gas markets, or not starting? Just can you tell us a little bit about where you're going with that?
I think better to tell what are our new projects for next year, because gas is one of them, not the only one. So next year we are going to have French and German products too. We are just waiting for the authorization, formal authorization from the energy and the financial authorities. We are going to have the gas market too. So we don't have now official date for the gas market. Some details are being discussed with our members, because everything that we do, we try to listen our members first, because the products are for them. So
you've got to solve a problem, right?
Yes,
otherwise you're just copying what everybody's doing. Yeah.
So, but the idea here is to have two gas markets. I would say one prompt market managed by MIP Gas, and one derivatives market managed by omip. This is our goal. But I'm not now in conditions to confirm you.
I'm not going to press you any further, because I realize how sensitive that are. But it does strike me, though, as a separate observation that walking around this event and so on, there's quite a correlation between power and gas. I know they're separate, but how do you see that? Because just talking separately for a second, they're obviously, with moving the power agenda towards renewables in such a big way, you need a balance to it, and a lot of people are saying that gas could be that balance. Is that why this thing's coming together like that, or
that is always one of the reasons?
Yeah.
Okay. There are other reasons, but it's better to ask to the people, to that companies, because we as an exchange, I think we cannot disclose our opinion about that issue. But of course, we have here lots of interesting things. For example, many and several of our members that trade with us power, they have desks, gas trading desks. Some of the times the same people, or people inside of working on side of them. So it should be more easy to now go to a gas market than to start something for the beginning if you don't have anything to start.
Understood, and you can do that. So, kind of as we're coming to the end of our time here, if I can rewind back to the beginning, you talked a little bit about what was happening in the Iberian market for the last 7 years. If I can give you if you can just finish off with, what are the next steps in the Iberian market? Where do you see it going? Because everything evolves. Market deregulation. Once you get to a deregulated market, you suddenly come up with a whole other set of issues that you didn't have before. So, where is that going?
I think it will be very important to understand, and I think now we don't have the complete picture of this, to understand how the companies are going to adapt to the new efforts of regulation that we have right now with REMIT, with EMIR, with MIFID. It's very important to understand how the companies are going to adapt to this. The signals that we have are good signals. So I think people are working on this, and I think that shouldn't be a problem. About the market and about the liquidity and about the new companies that are coming.
Because liquidity is a key issue, isn't it?
Is a key issue.
Yeah.
as I said, these smaller companies, they will not give us more liquidity. They will give us more competition. And that's important. It's one thing, one vector. For the other side, some international companies, like hedge funds, like pure financial companies, they started to look to the Spanish market a couple of years ago, and they continue to look now. And if they see a good opportunity, and if they see a good opportunity of trading, of having something sustainable in terms of business, I think they will come more and more. So we depend on these vectors. For one side, the smaller and the national, let's say, national companies, and for the other side, the bigger and international companies.
And are those actors the key to putting in the liquidity? Because the other side isn't going to do it, so it's key to get those actors playing, right?
Yes, I think it's time to all European markets understand that the only thing that can improve their liquidity is the appetite, is their members, and is not a state, or is not a regulation, or is not. It must be the market by himself to create that liquidity.
Perfect, Ricardo. And,
Okay.
and on that note, it feels like the right time to leave this interview. I hope you enjoyed this interview and you enjoyed watching. And again, Ricardo, thank you very much for taking the time to be here.
Thank you. Bye.